Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. Still hopeful, yet uncertain 1 week later.
The conditions are very tough. We did get a little bit of rain.
But I want to be extremely clear. We are not out of the woods.
More police officers and power generators are being sent to Fort Nelson as RCMP ramp up patrols to protect against looting. Plus, surviving a grizzly attack. A man out hunting with his dad in the Kootenays had to be airlifted to a Calgary hospital after fending off a grizzly bear. Also, May-long weekend, cue the travel headaches.
Well, I missed it by about 8 or 9 cars, so I was that close.
This is actually our third busiest weekend of the year.
A look ahead to the unofficial start to summer on the roads, the ferries, and at the airport.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Tanya Fletcher. Thanks for joining us. We begin in the Kootenays, where a man has been airlifted to a Calgary hospital after fending off a grizzly bear that attacked him. This was near the BC-Alberta border. A father and son were hunting and wound up tracking a bear west of Highway 43 south of Elkford. The 36-year-old son was suddenly attacked by an adult grizzly bear. Elk Valley RCMP say he was able to defend himself with his firearm, and the bear ran off while the father called for help. Conservation officers later found the bear dead. The man was left with significant injuries of broken bones, cuts, and scrapes. A blustery windstorm last night left a trail of damage and many Lower Mainland residents in the dark. BC Hydro says more than 80,000 properties have had their power knocked out in the past 24 hours. It's all thanks to fallen trees and downed wires. The UBC endowment lands, as well as Abbotsford, Burnaby, Coquitlam, and Bowen Island were hit the hardest, but smaller outages have also been reported in Richmond and New Westminster as well. Well, for many, May-long weekend marks the unofficial start to summer. That means thousands of British Columbians are kickstarting their summer travel. And if that's you, be warned of possible delays. Our Sarab Sandhu has more on what you need to know before heading out.
Bring it on in. Hit that stuff there, buddy. You know, it's going good.
Dean Hamilton is a happy man Friday morning. He's off to Ucluelet for a fishing trip with his friends.
We just planned it ahead and all that and reserved the ferry and all good to go there, buddy.
For those who have to wait for another sailing, they're not complaining.
Well, I missed it by about 8 or 9 cars, so I was that close. But it's my own fault. I had to get gas. And
by Friday afternoon, there were no major delays or cancellations.
We've actually added an early morning sailing from Tsawwassen Terminal to Schwartz Bay to just help get our customers where they need to be. So that's been something that we've been working on behind the scenes. We've also hired 600 new staff for this summer.
Environment Canada is forecasting a mix of rain and sunshine this weekend, after thousands of homes in Lower Mainland were left without power on Thursday due to high winds. But so far, those winds not impacting the sailing schedule.
It's hard to predict exactly what kind of an impact it's going to have and which way the wind will kind of sway. But so far, it's been good. And so we're feeling prepared and ready for the long weekend.
Over at Vancouver International, more than 300,000 passengers are expected to travel through this weekend. YVR says that's an 11% increase from last year's Victoria Day long weekend. On the roads, mountain passes including the Coquihalla received some fresh snow early this morning. Province says maintenance contractors are monitoring the latest weather forecast and their crews are mobilized and prepared to respond. Meanwhile, travelers are being encouraged to plan ahead and to check Drive BC for the latest road conditions. Sarab Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
And let's bring in our Karis Hogg now for a look at your long weekend forecast. In Karis, it's always a bit jarring to see snow on the highways like we did there in May, but not entirely unusual either. What about all those people heading out on the highways into the interior this weekend?
Well, they could be seeing some more of that. Very unsettled conditions as we start our Victoria Day long weekend. And as you mentioned, Snow on mountain passes. So that's tonight into Sunday morning now. Coquihalla Highway, Okanagan Connector, Allison Pass, about 2 to 5 centimeters expected. And tonight into tomorrow, dry this evening, but we start to get that chance of showers overnight and into tomorrow. And I'll have more details later on in the show.
Great. Thanks so much, Karis. Let's take you to our province next door, and investigators in Alberta say they have linked the 1970s murders of 4 young victims in Calgary to a serial killer. But they say that serial killer, Gary Allen Swery, died in prison in Idaho in 2011.
With assistance from Interpol and the Idaho State Police Forensic Services, Swery's DNA was confirmed as a match to the unknown male DNA profile present on all 4 of our young victims. Due to forensic evidence, witness statements, and similar fact evidence, the Alberta RCMP believe that Gary Allen Swery is responsible for the murders of Patsy McQueen, Eva Dvorak, Melissa Rahorak, and Barbara McLean.
RCMP believe the killer may have had more victims as well. Officers say Swery lived between Canada and the U.S. back and forth, often changing his appearance and using aliases to hide his identity. Well, back here in the Lower Mainland, police in Abbotsford are looking for a suspect on a blue electric scooter. They say he was involved in an assault at the King Connector and King Road on Tuesday. He allegedly cut off a vehicle, confronted the driver, and then slashed the car's tires. Since then, a man matching the description of the suspect was spotted riding an e-scooter at the University of the Fraser Valley. That's where these images were taken. Investigators are trying to figure out if he's in any way connected to the school. And in the meantime, police are ramping up their presence on campus. An update now on the pro-Palestinian encampments at universities province-wide. Over on the island, a group of faculty members at the University of Victoria are voicing their support for the protesting students. 75 of the school's 900 faculty members are calling on UVic's president to work with the students on a peaceful and negotiated solution. The demonstrations continue calls on the school to divest from companies that contribute to Israel's military. UVic's president claims there has been a growing number of complaints about harassment, intimidation, and dangerous activities surrounding those protesters. But some teachers have signed a letter now coming to the students' defense.
Students from the encampment are not responsible for any of the assaults and threats that took place over the last week. While they have been the targets of violence, they have consistently demonstrated their commitment to maintaining a peaceful, safe, and welcoming environment inside the camp.
In an email to CBC News, UVic says it is in active discussions to schedule a meeting between university leaders and the protesters. Meanwhile, students at UBC have this week taken their protest elsewhere on campus, including the bookstore and the Alumni Center. And that's led to some tense exchanges between students, campus security, and police. This was the encampment earlier today at McInnes Field, where demonstrators have since returned and are staying put for now. No arrests were made during the recent moving protests, but a statement from UBC says 70 to 80 protesters broke the law and breached campus safety. UBC has since reaffirmed its neutrality, saying that taking a position would undermine the rights of people who hold different views. And now to northeastern BC, where more police officers and power generators are being sent to Fort Nelson. It comes exactly 1 week after thousands of locals were suddenly told to leave their homes as flames grew near. Our Michelle Morton has the latest on a wildfire outlook that remains optimistic, but still uncertain.
Gratefully, our worst fears have not materialized, but I want to be extremely clear. We are not out of the woods.
BC's Emergency Preparedness Minister confirms structures had been damaged in the initial hours of the wildfire, but none that they know of since. Exactly 1 week ago, nearly 5,000 residents were ordered to leave the community because of the Parker Lake wildfire. The BC Wildfire Service says rain in the past 2 days has helped, but it's not enough.
The conditions in the northeast and really in the Prince George Fire Center, stretching down south as well, they are extremely dry. We are experiencing fuel drought that we haven't seen in a long time, if ever, in British Columbia. And because of that, we're seeing extreme fire behavior.
The fire is right now scorching roughly 123 square kilometers of land. That's slightly smaller than the day before. Still, officials say it's too early to predict when evacuees might be able to return home. In the meantime, RCMP are ramping up patrols to protect homes and businesses from looting.
It is not just unfortunate. There are stronger words that I can use, but I want to acknowledge that sometimes it does happen, yes.
And heading into the long weekend, she's urging travelers to stay away from the area.
Be aware of where you are going and the hazards of that area. Right now is not the time to visit the area around Fort Nelson, but like I said, our province is large and there are plenty of other areas to explore.
As of Friday afternoon, there are around 120 wildfires burning across the province, most in the Peace region. And the BC Wildfire Service is now setting up a fire camp at the local airport as crews dig in for the long haul to get the fires under control. Michelle Morton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, unionized Vancouver public library workers have voted overwhelmingly in favor of strike action. They have been unable to negotiate a new collective agreement with VPL since September.
At this point, we have no intent to be disrupting service. We know how important library services are to our communities and our patrons. So we are doing everything we can to be getting a deal at the bargaining table with the employer.
The union says there are two sticking points at play: the employer wanting to remove scheduling protections for regular full-time staff, and a policy change that could result in the termination of many temporary workers. Union members include librarians, library assistants, maintenance workers, and library technicians. If workers go on strike, the union says library services will be affected.
It'll be a massive loss, 100%.
I can't concentrate to my work if I study at my house, so we usually go to the library every day.
We prefer to use the library because it's a safe place.
The Vancouver Public Library says it remains committed to serving those who rely on library services. It adds both sides have begun to work with a mediator with a return to the bargaining table slated for Tuesday. Regular service on the Canada Line between Bridgeport Station and Richmond Brighouse Station will resume a week from tomorrow. Service has been affected since early April because of construction, meaning the last train on the line has been wrapping up 4 hours earlier than usual. Crews have been finishing upgrade work around the platform, including new safety systems, electrical devices, and further integrating the station with the existing Canada Line track. And a 25-year-old from Salmon Arm has won the prestigious Piano 2024 edition of the Montreal International Music Competition. Here's Jaden Isaac Zerko performing the second piano concerto of Brahms with the Montreal Symphony Orchestra in the final round. He's a Juilliard graduate and is also has a music master's degree from UBC. His first prize comes with $80,000 cash plus concert and session recordings. His total winnings throughout the competition amount to more than $150,000. Up next, would you consider a roommate? How about 8 of them? Well, this week we're taking a look at the different ways people are living in this province. After the break, I'll look specifically at how a household of 8 navigates living together. Stay with us. Welcome back. This week we are diving into the diverse ways people live in this province as the cost of keeping a roof over your head continues to soar. It can be especially difficult for students, often forcing them into long commutes and challenging living arrangements. However, our Shivani Joshi visited a home near UBC that shows a different side to student housing.
We came across this interesting home on Facebook Marketplace. 3 bathrooms, 8 bedrooms, and 8 roommates. We have some questions.
So I moved into Casablanca, which is what we call this house of ours, back in 2020, actually during the summer of COVID.
While the world was isolating due to COVID, Rodriguez, who was a student at the time, was looking for a place to live as he had just moved here from Toronto.
Basically, I was looking for a house that was community-minded and people who enjoyed playing some music and the outdoors, and they were exactly that.
This house, located near UBC, is home to 8 friends, 2 dogs, and it's a sweet deal.
It's between $600 and $700, $650 and $700 a month before utilities. So, pretty good.
Along with the savings comes what they describe as endless fun.
We really enjoy spending time with one another outside of the house. We'll go camping together, or climbing, or skiing, or biking, or lots of outdoor things. A lot of people are fairly musical as well, so there are a lot of spontaneous jam sessions as well that happen, and that became a house band at one point.
We've got a garden going. We've had that going for several years. I think we're actually going to maybe expand it this year.
Yeah, things like that have made us really close.
But living together isn't all fun and games. Conflicts are bound to come up. To help, they also got a chore wheel.
Everyone's got a spot on it. There's no avoiding that. And every week it spins.
Basically, everyone does a chore that's been assigned to them for 1 week, and after the week ends, the same chore doesn't get repeated for 8 weeks.
Ooh, what's a task that all y'all hate?
I don't know if we hate it, the kitchen one is definitely the most involved.
It's usually evident when people aren't doing their chore. We're pretty forgiving if you forget 1 week or if you're late in doing it, but people are usually pretty respectful and considerate and mature to put some care into maintaining a nice place to live.
So, how do the housemates make sure the new people coming into their home will fit in?
We have a little questionnaire we get people to fill out just to kind of prompt that process of getting to know somebody and making that interaction a little more human.
We usually look for people that have shared interests, and that might be music, the outdoors, but people that just show a love for life and a curiosity, eagerness to learn, people that ask questions and have things in life that they're excited about.
Little moved into Casablanca in 2018 when she started her PhD at UBC.
I was really looking for community. I was really excited to move here, meet new people.
Which is exactly what all the other roommates were searching for.
I think I've built some what are going to hopefully be lifelong friendships through living in this house.
From group jam sessions to structured cleanups, the roommates of Casablanca show that shared values make all the difference in communal living. Shivani Joshi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Still to come, brace yourself, Vancouver. Canada's first ever Hello Kitty themed cafe has opened downtown. We'll take a sneak peek alongside hundreds of others coming up next. Welcome back. The first ever Hello Kitty themed cafe in Canada opened its doors in downtown Vancouver today. So we sent a camera down to Robson Street where people were lined up around the block. Check it out.
Thank you for joining us today and celebrating the grand opening of Hello Kitty Cafe Vancouver. And you're all excited!
No, we had to be first. We had to be first.
We got here last night, 7 p.m.
Our lives
are
around
Hello Kitty. Like, I think started collecting when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I don't leave the house without a piece of Hello Kitty on.
I'm just excited. Hello Kitty Cafe is opening. It's the first one in Canada.
I've actually been able to travel all over the world for Hello Kitty cafes, so now I just have to go like 5 minutes away from where I live, and it's in my backyard, so now I can go every day.
Well, I grew up with Hello Kitty since I was a little kid. Most of the Sanrio characters, actually.
It's a childhood memory.
Yeah. She's like, morphed into like this whole world instead of just, like one thing. It's like there's so many versions of her which people can relate to.
She plays many parts.
I'd like to now welcome someone who needs no introduction, Hello Kitty! Woo! Welcome, Hello Kitty! Ready? 3, 2, 1! Congratulations, the Hello Kitty Cafe! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I'm so excited. This is so cute. It's even better than the videos being here in person. So it was worth the wait.
And Karis, I was in the West End this morning when that opened, and I saw the lineup down the block, around the corner, and down a back alley. I didn't know at the time that it was for this, but wow.
When people love Hello Kitty, they love Hello Kitty.
Yes, those fans for sure. Let's shift gears to weather. Sounds like we'll get a bit of everything this long weekend.
It's very unsettled in BC, yes, and over the Victoria Day long weekend, lots of variable conditions. Now, there was snow on the Okanagan Connector and the Coquihalla Highway last night, and we're going to be looking at that again. Snow on these mountain passes tonight into Sunday morning now. They're saying Coquihalla Highway, Okanagan Connector, and Allison Pass. Environment Canada is saying about 2 to 5 centimeters could fall on those stretches of highway, so just be aware of that if you're traveling through that area. Now, the 5-day forecast for Metro Vancouver, tomorrow, a 60% chance of showers, then Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud, Monday, the sunniest day of the long weekend, and then back to rain on Tuesday. And now, in honor of the Victoria Day long weekend, I have some fun facts about Queen Victoria. Did you know that Queen Victoria, barely 5 feet tall, proposed to her husband, survived 8 assassination attempts, and made wearing underpants popular?
I didn't know a single one of those fun facts, but now I am enlightened. Thank you for that, Karis.
You're welcome.
Well, moving on to Canucks now. Vancouver will try to close out their series against the Oilers tomorrow. Head coach Rick Tocchet says he knows it'll be another close battle with Edmonton on the verge of getting knocked out of the playoffs.
It's going to be really hard. And that's all you should be thinking about. And whatever it takes to get it done, you do. You got to get back to earth. We really got to get back to earth. It's going to be our toughest game. That's the way you got to approach it.
JT Miller was the hero, scoring in the final minute of last night's home game, handing the Canucks a 3-2 victory. Now, if Vancouver manages to beat the Oilers again tomorrow, they'll advance to the Western Conference Final. Canucks goaltender Artur Shilovs made his 8th start, managing 21 saves in total. And BC's Latvian honorary consul spoke with BC Today and talked about that Latvian connection.
It often happens in hockey. Someone comes forward and starts to change the game, and goalies usually have the most pressure. The aspect that he comes out, he gets such support from his teammates. You're fitting into a most important role, as they say, and I think that's really what's wonderful to watch.
We'll have to see how he does tomorrow. Game 6 goes in Edmonton at 5 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for being with us on this Friday, May 17th. For news anytime, anywhere, you can download the free CBC News app. You can always find us online as well. We're at cbc.ca/BC. Happy Friday. Enjoy the long weekend, and go Canucks.